Welcome to Severn Beach. The people involved in spoiling this place with this unnecessary bridge forgot to put a cycle path on it. It's a well-known geological fact that the quality of the rock along the Severn estuary is poor. Here there is a lot of modern composite, wheat rock or crystal that is prone to splitting. A whole range of interesting materials. Over the years I found a few odd things here. Last summer I found these two stones in a ploughed field in Morton Valance, an exception to the crumbly bedrock. On Severn Beach I then found this stone, which looks a bit like an iron, and it was identified as the mineral jasper. And then this one, which looks a bit like bubblegum, in the gutter of a suburban street in Bristol. All these were repeatedly thrown as hard as I could against a wall, but would not break, mark or bruise. Eventually, a small fragment of the iron came away to reveal a pink core. If it was solid jasper, I would have expected it to have split. I looked at the samples again and noticed that this too was a pink stone coated in a jasper-like material, as there was a tiny spot of the coating missing. The bubblegum sample was the same. Constantly being driven over had caused the coating to fracture. I then examined some previous finds from Severn Beach. A nutty holy one. Yes, it's jasper plated pink. This standing one. Again, rock hard pink, jasper dipped. A fishy heart. A Madonna and Child, the most common immortal. Most of the jasper coating has worn off. I visited Severn Beach again and found these. The same sort of thing, jasper coated. When I got home, I found that they all stood up. On my last visit, I found this one, which looks like it has erosion on it. These are samples from Severn Beach, which are not the same sort of material, including a pink jasper turning red outside, and a weak pink, then red coated grey material. I've identified all these as natural or modern composite, and all these as a composite man-made art dating to 125,000 BC, perhaps part of a larger collection from the Stone Age and put back on this beach. This is the cove at Stanton Drew, part of the new Stone Age temple complex. This one has fallen and split. Two sweethearts reborn to find each other again in life. Or has it split, then fallen? You've been fooled. These stones have always been like this. Delivery! Four stones. Sorry, 5. Sign. In order to protect this temple site in this most fertile place, and to protect this unusual hard stone, Stone Age man has pulled off a deception to make you think it isn't worth recycling. It looks like the local grey stone, which is not very good. But on closer inspection, it looks like cheap concrete with chippings in it. I recently spotted these stones and thought, this looks like the cove stuff. It turned out to be concrete. They are very hard. The local stone won't last thousands of years. On a clear, crisp winter's day, I use this one as a hand warmer. The smaller wall stones don't get warm. This is the upper stone circle at Stanton Drew, now ruinous. Like the cove, it's all the same material, although I've never seen any of this anywhere else either. Despite the stones being a victim of weathering, it is still good stuff. It has preserved better than any other local stone that I know have wood. The crystal and the stone are eroding back together. Some stones within are eroding faster than the main material. Some are eroding back at the same rate. This stone is degrading to dust inside. Chunks of the stones break off from freezing. Angular, hard pieces. The main circles at Stanton Drew. Lots of strange stones and features. A few of the stones look like a similar material to the upper circle, although they are not eroding so badly or quickly. This large recumbent one has a few broken pieces of it on it. This material is more putty-like. Some of the stones are partly like the eroding material, but much stronger. Other megaliths are a strong, resilient material that varies in composition from stone to stone. Many are very hard and show no signs of recent erosion. There are places where smooth pebbles and stones have eroded away completely, leaving smooth, lined caverns and crevices. A stone could not have fallen out because the hole is smaller. This cavern is lined completely with crystals. Is it where a quartz has eroded away, leaving only the crystals bonded to the material? There are erosion characteristics which are unlikely to have occurred in under 5,000 years. The variation in these main circle stones is too great to have come from the same outcrop or cairn. The cove is a similar material but grey. If natural, all these stones must have come from a whole range of hills to achieve this variation, but I've never seen anything like it anywhere. This stone is like a grey sarsen or limestone, but has these strange seams of brightly coloured gravel in it. It doesn't match the red or the cove stones, apart from being very hard and weird. This stone, which is partly yellow, is breaking up. When I was first handed a sample of it, I thought it contained human remains. I found it to be brittle, reminiscent of lime mortar. Not at all what a long-lasting stone could be made of. I then thought that the sample was modern cremation remains and returned it to the site. I was surprised to find the stone again, and that the sample was of it. I compared samples to ones I eventually found on the recumbent grey cove stone. Surprisingly similar, but not really like rock. This material, when broken down, is weak, but as a structure is strong and fairly erodable. When trying to avoid gathering any more information for this project, I decided to go for a cycle around the Stroud area. I have noticed how poor the local stone is, and heard stories about quarried stone, when left fully exposed for a few years, later suddenly disintegrating. I came across this cross, which is in good condition when compared to the other stone around here. This cross is eroding faster than normal. I couldn't resist searching out something I saw on the map called the Giant's Stone. I was expecting a large stone, but it looked more like the remains of a long barrow. When I bent down to look at the remains, the material was very high in shale, and the cement reminded me of the yellow bit of the Stanton Drew stone that is breaking up, and not the yellow natural cement in the local stone. I found pieces of the same material in the close vicinity. I went over to the wall and turned over a piece. It was the same stuff, over 50% shale or something. I checked the rest of the wall, just normal, what I had been looking at all day. This one piece of the structure must have been recently placed on this wall. I cycled around for the rest of the day, checking out the local stone. There was a single piece of shale in the occasional stone. Did someone once do a similar investigation as me and pronounce that this material was made by a giant or something? It was the product of an ancestor. The Giant's Stone. Not a big stone. Someone said that some of these Stanton Drew stones looked like they had river or sea erosion on them. I envisaged the stone they left behind 4,500 years ago by the sea. At first, I cycled to the local beaches looking for it. This is Orst Beach. Lots of weak rock. This is the hardest stuff I found. No jasper. Some of this stuff.
That's better. It's not so long.
This concrete rings like Ken Guidog. I then remembered that the sea used to come inland and spotted this instantly on an Ordnance Survey map. Standing where the Loch Yeo River once met the sea, over 10 miles west of Stanton Drew. Underneath one of the recumbent stones at Stanton Drew, I found this piece. It's smooth. Its base colour is reddy brown, but it has a streak of bright red in it. It feels and seems a little bit strange. I visited the standing stone again to see if I can find some evidence of this being the Stanton Drew source. This megalith contains the same coloured gravel as in the seams of the grey Stanton Drew stone. It's the same material as the impressive Stanton Drew megaliths, like no rock I know. I looked around the area for material in the topsoil. But couldn't find anything apart from recently placed stones. It was like a giant bag of compost. Eventually, I found just a few. I climbed down the riverbank and found some stones over halfway down, equivalent to 2 meters underground. I found this stone, which is partly stained red. These rocks are the usual quality local stuff. This standing stone, a few miles away, is eroding quite badly. It could be a medieval boundary marker. Here's some fresh stuff from a quarry. When I got home, I dismissed this stone as being nothing like the Stanton Drew stones. But later, after comparing it to pieces from the upper circle, I realised that it is similar, but it has its crystal mixed in, whereas the crystal in the Stanton Drew stone is separate. This could be a feature of similar materials forming and cooling at different rates and pressures. Half the pieces I took from the riverbank were grey stone. However, the others turned out to be a strange, clay-like material that split up in my pocket. Originally, there was one grey and a few small, reddy brown ones. The red-brown is the colour of the standing stone, and the colour of the piece without the red. The grey is the colour of the cove at Stanton Drew. The material is very weak, yet stone-like. It's waterproof, so it's not clay. When you break it, there is no feeling of oil or solvent, so it's not putty. A few miles from the standing stone is another, the Wimble stone. It is the same material as the Stanton Drew stones, as well as being a unique composition to itself. It looks like pieces of it are set within it. It has a hole in it. The hole has not been worked, and it is not natural. Here are some naturally formed stones with holes in them. The ones from gravel pits, the dried up riverbeds of the Jurassic etc. periods, are generally more interesting than the ones from beaches or the ones that are modern, short-lived, in poor quality stone. I could find no evidence of recent erosion on the Wimble stone. It looks like it's got a weak back, but it hasn't. It resembles the local stone that is lying around, but that's all poor quality. This post looks similar. It has a weak back. I made a dowsing rod. Anything L-shaped-ish will do. A bit long for my liking. Unable to pick up any signal near the Wimble stone, I ventured up the hill. I am looking for the same fluctuation in opposite directions. One is up the hill, here's the alignment I picked up. Bit of a gap, may have been marshy. Wimble stone. Across Cheddar Gorge, a rope bridge. A carabiner once turned up on an episode of Time Team. Some things may have been added later, less accurately, using dowsing rather than surveying. Wells Cathedral. I've picked up signals in medieval churches, where there is a handy east-facing altar and no wind. I got a weak signal in Winterbourne Church, even though the ley line passes quarter of a mile to the east. I cannot pick up a signal in Stanton Drew Church or anywhere around the Stanton Drew area. There was no need for a signal around Stanton Drew. The area was cleared and the paths were well marked and trodden. As I leave the Wimble stone, I see this one. This looks like good stuff. Oh, it has a weak back. Around here, stone seems to be imitating art. A souvenir. Legend has it that at Stanton Drew are people that were turned to stone by the devil for dancing on a Sunday. Is this the ritualistic remains of a technological, environmentally friendly ancient ancestor who died out? Like we are today, they were also having too much fun. Next time, Devon and Cornish granite.